Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Nomad podcast. We have me, Danny Abbey, Liam Mulligan and Davey Noonan. Today we have a special guest on today. We have Julia Baker, aka Snake Sheila.
Or Snake Boss.
Yeah. From the show that's on Animal Planet Australia. And I reckon today's going to be a really interesting day.
Yeah, and you're lucky I haven't got any snakes with me.
Yeah, we were hoping you were going to bring one. I was like,
you were going to bring one. That's the first thing Davey goes. He goes, you better not bring a leading snake with you. And I was like,
I've never been close to a snake, so I was like, what way am I going to react if she brings like a python around her neck? Am I going to be like,
do you not like them?
So,
do you not like them, Davey?
I don't know. That's the I have never been close to a snake, so I don't know what way I'd react. Like I love them; they're beautiful creatures. But if I was like that close, then would I be like, no, get away from me?
How are you going to respond?
Yeah.
Look, I would have brought some with me if I didn't have the workshop. So
Yeah.
I do like to bring snakes with me,
Do you
if
have
I can.
pets? Do you have
Yes,
pets?
absolutely. I do reptile shows, so I've got 8 snakes and 9 lizards at home.
Wow.
So yeah, I've got a whole reptile room.
Like any of them poisonous? Like really?
Venomous. Okay, I have to correct you
venomous?
there because people
Please do.
will pull me
Please
up on
do.
this or pull you up on it, not me. There is a difference between poison and venom. Do you want to have a guess what it is?
one can kill you, one can't.
No, both
It's
can kill you.
Is
Both
it
can
the
kill you.
structure of it? It's like venom gets into your bloodstream, or
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So poison has to be ingested. You have to eat it. It has to go through your belly. Venom has to be injected. So a cane toad, for example, is poisonous because you'd have to lick it. Not that you're going to do that, doggy.
He did before.
Oh, I didn't, did
Yeah,
I?
he was-
You know they get high on
I
it,
know.
don't you? They get addicted to it.
I only had him about a
stoner.
year. He ran out the back and he came in and he was foaming at the mouth.
Yeah.
Rang up, it was like 9 o'clock at night, had to ring the vet. I was like, I'm panicking here, what'll I do? And they made me rub his mouth and they said, bring him in. So I found the vet and he was okay, but scary stuff. Though.
Has he gone back and done it again?
No, he hasn't done anything.
Because I don't know if it's true, but they say that dogs get high on it and they just
Okay.
keep going back and having a bit of a lick. It's their drug of choice.
Yeah.
It looks a bit spaced out.
Yeah, so have you got any venomous?
No, I haven't got any venomous snakes. I've only got pythons and, as I said, lizards. I do catch venomous snakes, so it's not that I'm scared of them. I prefer not to have them in the house, and part of that reason is maybe because when I have a few drinks, I like to get the snakes out and play with them. Maybe not a good idea if
That's
they're
not a good
dangerous.
mix. I don't think.
Yeah.
So, right, we'll go from the very start.
Yep.
Before we get into snakes, you're a pastry chef.
My previous life, yes.
How did you make the transformation from a pastry chef and go, all right, I want to start catching snakes? Because
Okay.
it's a big
big
difference.
big
in jobs.
It is. Okay, I'll try and shorten it a little bit.
Yeah, the short and
So
story.
basically, I grew up in Germany. My dad's German, my mum's English, as you can hear from my accent. I was born in Australia. Mum and dad did emigrate out here. And then mum got homesick after about 2.5 years, so we went back. I was terrible at school. I was the absolute rebel, middle child, I caused lots and lots of trouble, got kicked out of school when I was 16.
Oh, God.
And my dad said, you've got to get a trade, you've got to do something. And in Germany, you do have to have a qualification. So the only thing that I could get with my school marks was a baker's apprenticeship. So I thought, all right, I'll do that. And I actually really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. And I was very good at it. So good that I put on 16 kilos in the first year.
I was gonna say,
I was
Yeah, I've got a bit of fatty buncha there. So, and then after that, I did another apprenticeship in confectionery. Now, when I was a little kid, all I ever wanted to do was work with animals or with children. And the other thing that I wanted to do was be on telly. But as you know, you go to high school and teachers tell you can't do this and you can't do that.
Yep.
So I kind of just resorted, that's who I'm going to be, a pastry chef. And I came out to Australia when I was 24 because I found out I could get the Australian passport, which was great. And it was really easy for me because I had 2 trade certificates in Germany. So I worked in all the big 5-star hotels and the Hilton and the A&A and some really, really good hotels. I met my husband, my ex-husband there. And we moved up to Brisbane. Now, my mum and dad are puppeteers.
Okay.
So they do Punch and Judy shows.
Oh, yeah.
I actually started doing it with my dad when I was about, 8 or so. And then I stopped doing it when I was a teenager because it was so not cool. As a teenager,
Puppeteers is the little puppets and you...
Punch and Judy.
Punch and Judy.
You know Punch and Judy.
Yeah.
You guys would all know Punch and Judy.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah. So after I had my daughters, I realised I couldn't really work in the hotel industry anymore with the hours and the shifts and stuff like that. And the first thing I did actually was I lost a lot of weight. I lost about 27 kilos with Weight Watchers.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
So my daughters were very young. I think my youngest was about 1 or 2 when I lost all the weight. So, and then I made the transition from a pastry chef to a Weight Watchers leader. because I knew that, as a good pastry chef, there's no way I could keep my weight down.
Yeah.
You're eating sugar all day long. You have to test
Trying
it.
to.
Yeah, you have to try it. So I gave all of that away and became a Weight Watchers leader. And I worked for Weight Watchers for 3.5 years. And I was very, very good at it. I was the second best salesperson in Australia. I loved Weight Watchers. Love it. I think it's a great concept. I love people. I love working with people.
Changing lives.
Helping people.
Changing lives. Yeah, that's it, And then unfortunately, I went through a divorce 11 years ago with my ex, and I got so depressed. I mean, I really did. I would wake up just crying. I was here with 2 young girls by myself, and my dream of happily ever after was over, And on top of that, I'm the first person in my whole family on both sides to be divorced. So there was a big shame factor as well.
Stigma.
And I thought, I've got to do something. I can't become this victim for my daughters. So I started to pick up some really good books, and I read Tony Robbins and Jack Canfield. And Jack Canfield, he's got a book called The Success Principles, and it's basically a book, practical book. The subtitle is How to Get Where You Want to Be from Where You Are. And I read that through, and it was the first book that really said to me, it doesn't matter that you didn't do good at school. That doesn't shape your life. Nothing matters. Start fresh. Write down a list of all the things that you've always wanted to do and go and do them.
Yeah.
And I thought, I like that. But how do I know what I like to do? And so one night, after a few drinks, I sat down and I thought about my childhood and all the things I wanted to do. And I remembered the very first thing I did is I remembered an experience I'd had with a zoo, with Australia Zoo, with a snake. Now, I wasn't a child, admittedly. I was 36. That's the first time I ever saw a snake in my life, full stop, right? But I fell in love with this snake. And it was this big, beautiful Burmese python. It was laying there and you could get a photo taken with it. So I thought, I'm going to do that. Right? I wasn't scared. I am scared of spiders and cockroaches, but animals, no. So as I'm standing in the queue to get a photo taken with this snake, I realised that some people actually really hate them.
Yeah.
And I understand the fear factor. I don't have a problem with that. But why you would hate something so much that has obviously got a purpose on this planet, I just can't understand that. So when they put the snake around me, I burst into tears and I kissed it. I've actually got a picture. I'm kissing it. And I thought my life has been like that. And I really felt sorry for this snake. I thought all my life I felt judged. I think we all do to some extent. So I'm not, special that way. Yep. But that's my kind of resonation with the snake. I thought, I get you. I was chubby. I was a school dropout. Nobody looked at me for what I had on the inside. It was always my school marks and that. And then when I wrote this bucket list, I thought, you know what, I'm going to get a pet snake. I'm going to start with a pet snake. And then the second thing I thought was, well, when I was little, I always wanted to be on the telly. And for most of my life, I thought I was going to be the next biggest actress. Yeah. I thought I had a talent for acting. And every time I watched a movie, I thought, I could do that. I could be in Hollywood and doing this and that and this and that. So I thought, all right, I'm going to be an actress now. Why not? So I wrote that on my list. And then I enrolled to study acting. I did 2-year diploma. I got myself my first pet snake. Then I wanted to motorbike. So I got myself a motorbike license, tick. And then it just grew from there. I met somebody who was a snake catcher. Yeah. And I thought, I could do that. I need a bit of money on the side, get to help people, get to help snakes. So I got my snake catching license and it just grew and grew and grew. Now, the funny thing was I studied acting for 2 whole years and advanced diploma of stage and screen acting, thinking that I was going to be such a good actor. And I'm not. I'm not. In fact, I was so bad. This sounds funny. I was so bad that you've got to do all these different units. And my American accent and Shakespeare was so bad, they made me sign a statutory declaration form stating I'd never used them and claim I'd learnt them at that school. That's how bad it was. Yeah,
That must have been pretty bad.
It was bad. My American accent is this. This is it. I'm stuck with this accent, right? I'm shit at learning lines. I can't do that either. I'm not very good at that. Shakespeare I don't care about. It's not something for me anyhow. But so I still got my diploma and I signed up with an agency and I started to go for auditions and I got a few extra roles, which was cool, but no speaking roles.
Just stand there and point.
Yeah, just look pretty. Just don't open your mouth, that kind of stuff. So eventually I came up with this idea for the TV show and I thought, you know what? What I did was I started to look for role models that didn't have much talent on telly. And I thought there must be a way to to do it. And this is something I always taught at Weight Watchers. For every excuse that people would come up with, I can't lose weight because, I've got to look after the family, or I can't resist chocolate, or I'm a vegetarian, or I'm a diabetic. It doesn't matter what your excuse is. I guarantee you there are people out there that have done it.
Yeah.
So I took my own advice and I thought, right, I know I haven't got much talent. I know I can't do accents, but there must be another way to get on telly. And then it hit me.
Yeah.
Because everywhere I went, at this stage I was catching snakes, and everywhere I went, people wanted to hear my stories. Where did you catch them? What was involved? What did the people do? And I could visually see it. And I thought, not only would this make a very entertaining show and exciting because it is dangerous, but on top of that, I can get the message out there that snakes are really important.
Yeah, educational.
Before the show started, were you just cruising around by yourself on your bike, going into houses and just catching snakes, and people just going like, this girl's crazy?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Oh God, I can tell you some funny things. Not so much on the bike. The bike sort of came into it a little bit later. But my very first call out, so to become a snake catcher, you have to do a weekend course.
Yeah.
So you have to learn how to catch venomous snakes. But it is held in an RSL club, in a room. So it's not like the snakes are hiding.
Yeah.
They're there on the floor and you kind of pick them up, put them in the bag. In the real world, completely different.
They're getting as far away from you as possible, and you have to try.
Well, they're hiding.
It's the greatest game of hide and seek.
They're in trees and they're in little holes that you just shouldn't be putting your hand in there.
Exactly.
And your head would be in there looking at them. I'd be just like...
Exactly. So the very first call out I ever had, it was in a boy's bedroom, and the father rang me up and he said, my son's seen a snake in the bedroom. And now, if there's one thing that you can't take serious, it's the description that people give you, because they panic. And oh my gosh, the descriptions we've had for snakes, I don't even
50 foot long, its head's the size of a football.
Exactly. It's black and blue and massive fangs and this and that, and you just go, all right, I'm just going to have to check it out myself. And you kind of go in thinking it could be the worst. You don't want to be silly. And I cleared out the whole bedroom and I couldn't find the snake. So I went home and I said, well, it must have gotten out somewhere. 2 days later, I get another call. The snake's definitely there, still in the bedroom, right? So I went back, cleared out everything again, and it was the very last place I looked. It was hanging off a coat hanger in the cupboard between the T-shirts. So once I moved all the T-shirts out, and it was just a tree snake. But you just don't know.
Yeah.
But you know what? That day there got under my skin, and I loved it. I loved it. You know what I loved about it? Adventure, uncertainty. If there's one thing that is very low on my list, is security and certainty. I like things to be uncertain. I love adventures and not knowing what's going to happen next.
It must be like a real adrenaline buzz as well. Like when you're in there going, bloody hell, if I don't catch this thing, it could be a Eastern brown or something like that. Yeah. And you're kind of gone in there going, right, I have to get this snake. And that, like, looking through, like that with the clothes hangers, like, next thing it just appears. What do you do, like, in that situation? Do you take a step back, or are you kind of like, okay, there it is, like, I'm going to grab it?
Because it was my first call out, I was a little bit cautious.
Yeah.
Normally with tree snakes, I just take them with my hand now.
Yeah. Even
if they bite you, it's just like a peg. It's just, they've got tiny teeth.
Your first call out, so were you by yourself, or does someone have to still go with you to make sure you're doing it all correctly, or once you finish that course, you're on your own? Go out. Is that how it is,
well, you do. I mean, I was dating a snake catcher at the time, not for very long, but he did give me some help and did sort of, got me
different scenarios.
Yeah,
tips and stuff.
a little bit. I think you do. I don't think the course is quite enough.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, obviously experience is the best kind of form of teaching, isn't it?
It's quite a wonderful story, but really, isn't it? That's because I read a lot, as I was saying to you before we went live, and it's interesting that such a book can have such a powerful influence upon your life, really, isn't it? And take you in another direction. Now, and I haven't read that book, but I will read it. I've also read all of Tony Robbins' books, and it's good that you've took that book and then made something really positive from that. You know
when I think my advantage is, and for a long time I thought it was my weakness, is the fact that I didn't do good at school. I'm not academically smart at all. It takes me a while to sort of get my head around things.
Yeah.
But I'm also very open to that, and I know that, and I think that's my strength, is that I'll admit I don't know anything. Teach me. And that's the great thing. My learning actually started after school. The rubbish that we learn in schools. I have not used any of that. It's the stuff afterwards. It's the stuff that I'm interested in. And in the meantime, I've also got a diploma in acting. I've got a diploma in marketing with distinction. I've got my wildlife demonstrator's license. I'm now going to do a certificate 3 in film and media. And I'm nearly 51. I am never going to stop learning. Never. I love it.
That's brilliant.
It's such a power. Like, I mean, I'm the same. I'm like every year I try and do at least 4 to 5 different courses in different things and just learn and just try and absorb knowledge. And that's why I always read. And I think you seem like someone that's not going to take no for an answer. And if someone does tell you no, you'll find someone a way of doing it yourself, you know. And there's like we have often talked about challenges that we face when we came over here. And you know, having that type of attitude is so powerful, you know, can be quite rewarding, and will obviously you'll succeed in whatever your chosen field to do. You know,
and I've also, if I've ever been stuck on something, down to the fact of, you know, when I was single with the girls, and I was like, how do I raise 2 young girls by myself? Because it's not that easy if you haven't got the backup from your partner. You know, you suddenly, you know, kids can play you. You know, it's a completely different situation. I went out and I got books and I read about it. Easy. I read books, setting boundaries. I never had boundaries with people. There are books out there for everything. And if there's one thing I don't understand about humans is why do they think their education finishes at school? That's not even a bloody education, really. That's just repeating stuff. Real education. And any time I get stuck on a problem, I go looking for a teacher. And I always find one.
That's brilliant.
That's good. But another question about the show.
Yes.
Right? People are going, well, I've watched the show and I was looking, I was like, right, this girl, she's not afraid of snakes, but you're afraid of little spiders and cane toads. And is there any other weird phobias that you don't like, other animals that you don't like? Because someone who likes snakes, I'd say, is like, doesn't really...
Bulletproof, basically.
Like, you're afraid of spiders and cane toads, you're climbing trees to pick big pointings out of trees and stuff like.
Actually, I'm scared of heights as well. There you go.
Seeing that as well. So is there anything else that like scares you?
Actually, I'm all right with cane toads. I don't want to touch them. I actually feel really sorry for them. I must be the only person in Australia that feels sorry for them. It's not their fault.
Yeah, they were brought in to. Yeah.
I understand we have to cull them, but if anybody's going to do that, please do it in a humane way. And we don't need to set them on fire and all this rubbish that people do.
People with golf clubs and
throw them up in the air and they blow up and stuff.
No, and I will make a point here. If you're teaching your children to do that, what values are you giving your kids that it's okay to put harm on anything or any animal? Yeah. I don't have a problem with euthanizing them, but we're not going to set fire to them or anything like that. Look, cane toads, little spiders, I'm all right. In fact, I've got a huntsman living downstairs and I'm watching him grow. Yeah. When he gets to a certain size, he's going to have to leave the house. I did have a little bit of a fear of mother-in-laws.
I think every bloke does.
And school teachers. Do you know what? My girls are out of school now, but every time I'd have to go for a parent-teacher interview, I'd be the one sweating. I hated it. I was like, I don't want to talk to teachers. I get they're lovely, but I always takes me back to my childhood and I was always in trouble, you know. It's like, oh, what have I done now?
But as well, on snakes, you've probably dealt with hundreds of snakes. Any life-threatening injuries you've got on, or have you ever been bitten or anything and got rushed to hospital or anything?
Nah, I've not had any of that. I've got a very, very, very funny call out that I did. And it was a few years ago, so it was before the TV show. Yeah. It was Boxing Day. Now, my husband, Johnny Bagpipes, he's trained up as well, so I've trained him up. He's a snake catcher as well. And it was, this would be about 8 years ago. So it's Boxing Day, and I had a few drinks. It was a bit warm, and he'd not. We get a phone call. It was for a snake. Right now, we do get paid for this, so we call it the snake ATM. Right? So you don't want to kind of not do one because that's a bit of income there. So I said to my husband, I said, John, you go and do it. You know, he was licensed, not a problem. I'll supervise you. So off we went, and I was wearing a nice dress and heels and whatnot. And we got to the resident's house, and he picked it up. It was a huge python. Yeah. I got a little bit cocky because all the residents were there and they were taking photos and that. So I said, come on, give me that snake. I'm going to have a cuddle with him. So I put this snake around my shoulders and I'm showing off for the photos. And the bloody thing just casually turned around and sunk all of its teeth into my arm. It wasn't a vicious one, but it was a deliberate one. Now, I don't know what he was thinking, but he wasn't going to let go. So then he starts wrapping himself around me and my husband comes and then he's wrapping around both of us and we're stuck there and I've just got over 100 teeth.
How big was he?
Well, his head was about the size of my hand, probably bigger. Probably 2.5 meters. Yeah. You know, I mean, they do get bigger, but he was solid. And he was not going to let go. And, you know, they are difficult because their teeth shape backwards. They face backwards like a shark. Yeah. You're not meant to come out that way. You're meant to go in. Yeah. So very, very difficult. We couldn't get him off. We tried everything. Somebody said mouth freshener. So we put a bit of mouth freshener on. Wouldn't let go, nothing. And I wasn't going to hurt him. So then I called up a snake catching friend of mine and he said, right, you need to get him underwater. Because obviously they've got to breathe, so he'll let go. So luckily he was attached to my arm and not my face. I don't know what I've done then. Yeah. And we ran a big sink full of water and got him under there and he let go and that was great. But this stage, I was going into shock because he had been on my arm for 20 minutes.
Wow.
With those teeth. And hubby put him in the bag and then he was running around chasing my kids and trying to get them together. And I remember everybody looking at me because I went obviously white as a sheet. And then I could feel myself passing out in front of everybody. Yeah. But that's not the worst part. As I slid to the ground, I farted really loud. Brilliant. And all my dignity went away that day. Oh, God, all right.
So you were standing there for 20 minutes trying to act as if, it's all right.
This is normal, yeah, that's
okay.
fine.
Trying to act professional and inside you're going, get this snake off my arm.
And then on the other hand, hey, mate, how you doing? I've got a snake, I've got a python on my right arm at the moment.
What do I do?
Oh, jeez. Jeez. What's like, I mean, obviously living in southeast Queensland, what snakes do we really need to be aware of? And what are the deadly ones and what, you know?
Oh, well, the only deadly one you really got in Brisbane is the eastern brown. But even then, it's 2 to 3, maybe 4 people die a year. It's really not that much of a worry. But the eastern browns are definitely around and pretty much most of the suburbs. Then you've got the red-bellied black snakes. Nobody's ever died from them. There was one case, a schoolboy, years and years, hundreds of years ago, and they don't even know if that was because of the red belly. That is a very painful bite, though. Right. Bob Irwin has got a bite from a red-bellied black snake, and he nearly got his thumb amputated. So it is quite a nasty bite. What other ones have you got? Let's see. Whip snakes. Oh, gosh, I've been bitten by about 5 of them.
Whip snakes?
Yellow-faced whip snakes. So they've got that yellow marking around their eyes, very common in gardens. Wow. They're sort of brown with a green-brown with a red tinge on the back. And they're very, very fast little snakes. You get a fat hand from them for a week.
Do we get... Is there toy pans?
Not in Brisbane.
That's north kind of far. That'd be up kind of north.
A little bit further up.
Is it?
Yeah, but not in Brisbane. No.
When I came to Australia, I done my farm work in a place called Hay. And you ever hear of it?
No.
It's a little small town in New South Wales called Hay. And like the population, there's a sign when you drive in, Hay, population 11. So there's only like 11 people.
Really?
Yeah, it's just a funny little town. So I done me cotton farming there.
Did you have to do that?
Yeah, for your second year.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I had to do 88 days to get my second year visa.
Yeah.
So me and my friend travelled to Hay, New South Wales, to do cotton picking. Never done it before. Didn't know what to
Never
expect.
done it since?
No. It was probably the best 3 months I've had in Australia. I'll never forget it. It was just an experience that I don't want to do it again, but I'll never forget it. But when we were on the farm, we used to do the irrigation, so we'd get the water and to water the crops, but there'd be snakes on top of the pipes because it was like
nice and warm.
Oh yeah, 38, 40 degrees, and they'd sit on top. So the farmer would say to us, "Okay, guys, there's going to be snakes on the farm. Obviously, we're all like European backpackers and don't know what snakes are, so everyone's like shitting themselves, going, "Fuck, if I see a snake, I'll just run and stuff." So obviously, second or third day, we're driving along, see snakes just in the middle of the road, swerving out of our ways, all good, but I'm not sure whether it was a toy pan. Would you get a toy pan there?
No, not New South Wales.
No. I don't know whether it was something. Do red-bellied blacks go along water? Or does every snake go along water? Because what happened was there was this snake that was creeping on top of the water and coming towards one of the lads. We don't know whether.
What colour was it?
I'm pretty sure. I think it was black. I think he said it was red-bellied black, but they said there was toy pans on the.
Well, the red-bellied black snakes do love water, and they can actually hold their breath for 23 minutes. But you would probably not mistake them with anything else. There is another snake called the keelback, and the keelback is a freshwater snake, and they're brown, and they love water. Yeah. The unfortunate thing is that they do look like the eastern browns because they're brown, and a lot of people will kill them. Yet that's the only snake in Australia that can and will eat cane toes.
Okay.
So they're a good little snake. Yeah. And the worst that you're going to get from a keelback is that they'll musk you with a smell that smells like a fart.
Okay.
So then you smell like a fart for the day.
Okay. Seeing that on for your videos, I've never smelled it now, but when a snake takes a shit, apparently it stinks.
It's
I
not
reckon.
yeah.
It doesn't smell like roses, does
From
it?
what I've seen from your videos, you were like, this is the most smelliest shit of all. Like,
When is a shit not stunk?
I know, but like, snake. Have you ever seen a snake shit?
No.
That's what I mean. So like, for random, that is just like the smell of it is just really.
Well,
every shit
it's
smell. I know. but-
not as bad as a dog's poo, and it's not as. I tell you which reptile I reckon is the worst. Well, the worst one that I've got in my house, bearded dragons. I don't know what happens on the inside, but when that comes out, that really stinks. Bearded dragons, stinkiest poos. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, back to the farm. We were told. Like, the farmer told us that we were able to kill them. He was like, look, guys, if you see a brown snake, kill it.
That's silly.
Oh, no, that's
and
what,
illegal.
That's
How long ago was this?
9 years ago. So the lads were driving along, and if you seen them curled up on the road, over it on the ute, they were going over them and stuff.
Does he not realise the impact if he gets rid of the snakes, the rats?
Well, that's what
That's
obviously at the start
ridiculous,
we didn't
yeah.
know, but we were every guy was told, look, if you see them, just kill it. And obviously, I didn't go near them because I was scared shitless of them, but we did kill a few of them. Like, there was a few, a couple of big ones as well, killed on the farm.
That's how most people get bitten.
Yeah. Well, that's what as well. There was a few idiots, like, the snakes would be on top of the pipes, and the lads were picking the pipes, trying to smash them, and I was like, just leave the thing. Like,
That's sad. Like
yeah,
that.
just leave it. Like, because I was on night shift one night, and there was a snake on a. Like, it's pretty scary at night time because you couldn't see anything.
Hold on, you've got a night shift on a farm?
Yeah, to do the irrigation. So yeah, it's pretty interesting to set up the crops. You can't have all the water going into all the crops at each time. So you have to do each field. It's in courses and stuff. It's mad, man. So some people were on night shift. No one liked to be on night shift because
obviously you can't see
anything.
Yeah.
There was snakes, lizards, everything curled up at night time. So you didn't get paid anymore. So it was like
there's not much that can kill you at night in Australia, though. Honestly,
no. Well, at the time we didn't. I was only in Australia a year. I was thinking there's going to be spiders biting me, snakes choking me. Like,
if you walk underneath a tree and next thing a poison comes
every
down.
night I love her and I'm hoping to get through tomorrow. Like, if you don't hear from me, this is where I am. The population is only 11, so it's going to be hard to get me because we had no signal on our phones. You had to go to a certain part on the farm to get signal. It was like, it was mental.
Yeah.
It was good. Like,
I
loved
understand the fear. I do understand the fear. There needs to be a little bit more education, I think. Because I mean,
that's it.
Yeah, I do understand it, and I understand when people kill it. It really comes from fear. There's very few people that are going to do it just because they feel like it.
Yeah.
But they need to be educated. That's probably the worst thing they can do is kill it because that's when they will bite.
Yeah.
And snakes, like all reptiles, are cold-blooded. So I mean, you can chop a snake's head off and it'll still continue to live for a little bit and it'll still bite you, and many people have been killed that way. They've picked up the head. There was a chef recently, a Japanese chef, and there was a, I can't remember what snake it was. He got bitten.
In Australia?
He's going to cook it. No, not here, yeah. But it does happen.
Wow.
Yeah. But because we were on the farm, and so at night time you'd sleep, and we were waking up with mice on our faces and
With what on your face?
mice.
Mice.
Yeah.
Field
Ugh,
mice.
Really? On your face? I like mice, don't get me wrong, but not on my face.
Oh, it was like horrible. So the
Jeez.
first night we got
Where
there.
were you sleeping outside?
No, so we were.
What?
It's funny.
I
right?
don't get this.
In a barn.
So we rocked up, right, and
In a barn full of hay and hay.
It was close. We rocked up, and they had like the farmer had his own house, and then all the backpackers lived in this like little headquarters.
Like a reptile cage.
Oh, no, not very luxury, is it?
It was like that. Right? The rooms were no joke. The rooms were probably 2 meters by 3 meters, right?
Yeah.
And the first night, me and my mate, so he's in his room and I'm in my room, and we're lying there just going like, what are we doing here? Do we want our second year this bad
This
to live
badly.
in this shithole? Like, there's cobwebs, there's cockroaches, there's the odd mice we'd see. So all of a sudden I hear a knock on my door, and my mate is like, here, I'm going to put my bed in your room, right? And just two of us sleep beside each other. And I was like, the room, you could barely swing a cat in it. So I was like, yeah, fuck it. He got his bed, put his bed in with me. Like, literally, it was like one double bed because there was no room. So we're lying right beside each other and we're looking, just going, this is fucked. You just hear little noises.
Did you spoon?
Oh, I think a few nights I woke up and his arm was
Brokeback
around
Mountain
me.
style.
I woke up a few nights and his arm was around me, but...
What do you reckon about the farmer? You reckon he's just had a few beers and thought, fuck, I'll go and fuck with these backpackers. He's got a box full of mice and he'll just throw a couple of mice in the corners there, just making their way around.
You want to see what we done? So the next day, I was talking to a couple of the old guys who live in the town. They work on the farm, and I said to one of the old guys, I was like, we're after buying loads of mice traps, and literally, like, you'd be sitting there, going off, reset it, eating your dinner, go off. It was
that money, wow.
flooded. Like,
now you
flooded.
imagine if he gets rid of those snakes. For every snake that you killed, they killed, that's a few hundred mice that are going to survive.
But this is what the old guy who was like had all the
knowledge and
all the
experience.
knowledge. Yeah, he was a proper Aussie old guy. He had red hair. He was the tip. If you could name an Aussie the stereotype, he was it. He knew everything. He was proper living in the outback years. Knew every tricks of the trade. So I said to him, his name was Sonny. I said, what do we do about all the mice? And he goes, get a snake. And I was just like, get a snake, like, buy one. And he goes, no, there'll be loads around. He goes, if you see one, don't kill it. Yeah. Leave it around. And I was like, all right. I said, is there anything else? I said, well, I don't want to catch a snake. I'm not really. Like, is there anything else we can do? Is there any traps you can get? So he goes, it's a bit cruel, but he got a big bucket, put a bit of, not tinfoil, a bit of plastic, whatever, on top of the bucket, filled the half up with water, put cheese on it, and we left it in the middle of the room. So when we went to bed, all the mice would smell the cheese and go up, fall into the bucket and die. The first night we did it, the bucket was half full.
Oh,
Jesus Christ!
Half full. We done
way.
it every day. We were just emptying this bucket. You want to see the smell of it? It was horrible. It was literally horrible. But
Jesus.
It kept the mice out of our rooms, and it was like when I tell people how many mice there was in this house, it doesn't even do it justice. Like, no joke, we were picking up buckets nearly every second or third day, half full of mice. It was.
Can I just say something? You've earned your stay.
Yeah,
I reckon they should do that with everyone. I think because too many people come over here and want to bring their own country with them.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
No.
And especially from the UK, I see that quite often. And I think that's a great way of selecting who's going to stay and who not. Because after that, everything's great. You're not going to be a whinging pom, are you?
Yeah. The minute I left that farm, I was. Spiders, didn't care.
Yeah.
Snakes, you name it. Now I don't mind if I see anything really.
I think that's a great introduction to Australia. Let's make everybody do that. I think that's great.
That was brilliant.
Everybody should integrate with the culture, shouldn't they?
I think so.
100% agree with that.
Yeah.
You know, it really it pains me when I see like other people coming from various different countries and just not integrating with the Australian way of life, you know, when it's such a beautiful way of living and life, you know. So
it's funny because I'm half English, half German. So I grew up first 3 years in in Australia, and then in Germany, then the UK, and then back to Germany. And up until about a year or 2 years ago, I always felt like I didn't belong anywhere. I have no culture. I'm not German or English, because I'm not really fully cultured. And it bothered me. I wanted to be part of a culture. So bad that, in fact, when I first came out to Australia, I would hang out in the valley. No, sorry, this was in Sydney. I'd hang out in Chinatown and go to the bars, and all the Asians were hanging out, and I just wanted to be one of them. I wanted to belong somewhere. But now I'm older, I think, no, I don't. Actually, I'd rather be free. And I don't want to belong anywhere. I don't want to be restricted through my cultures or anything like that. I am me. I'm not anything.
Yeah.
And actually now I enjoy that, so I just fit in with the Aussies. Yeah. And then when I go to Germany, I fit in with the Germans. And then I go to the UK, I fit in with the English.
That's good.
As much as I can.
Multicultural. That's
that's
Has there been anywhere apart from Australia that you'd like to go to check out snakes or anything? Or?
I got to tell you a story, right? So a year and a half ago, so my poor husband, he gets dragged along to all these kind of things. And actually when I met him, he knew I was a snake catcher. So we met on Plenty of Fish. I'd written a list exactly what I wanted in a man after 2.5 years of countless coffee interviews. And, oh, God, I could write a book over that. And so I got him into the snake catching and the snakes and that. And actually, our first date, we went to a car show. Because on my list, I wrote, I want somebody who's really passionate about anything, just passionate. I love passionate human being. And John's really, really passionate about cars. So we went to a car show, and I kind of pretended I was interested. And I regret it now because he keeps talking about cars, and I'm like, I don't know anything about cars, really. And he goes, And so we met in the IGA car park because that was the safe place to be. And then after the car show, we went to the movies, and I already fancied him rotten. I really did. And I thought, I can't let him go without at least a kiss. I'm going to snog him before he goes. I have to get a kiss off this man. And he was just going to drop me back off at the car park. And I said, no. And now, only a woman can say this, all right? So this is only a line that a woman can say. I said, would you like to come and see my pet snake? So, yeah, don't use this line if you're a man, please. That's not going to work.
Johnny Bagboy's probably thinking in his head going,
What have I got myself here? Yeah. And he went, yeah, all right then. It's an enclosure, isn't it? And I said, yeah, of course it is. So we went inside and I showed him Jessie. That was my first snake, my black and gold jungle python. And then he leant down to say goodbye, and I kissed him, snugged his face off, really. And he got shaky knees, and he had to sit down. That man got shaky knees every time I met him for about, every time we kissed for about 6 months. And he still, we still have that impression on each other.
That's good.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, now, what was the question? I sort of...
is there anywhere else you'd like to go to see snake
that's
or
right.
anything?
I was going to tell you about the Bali. So poor hubby gets dragged along to all these kind of things. I don't do holidays around the pool. But my poor husband, he wouldn't mind sort of a chill-out holiday now and again. So I said, let's go to Bali. We'll go to Bali. And I got all-inclusive, hotel, nice hotel and stuff like that. We went to Bali, and it was supposed to be sort of sitting around the swimming pool. Not that I'll ever do that. And the second day we were there, we were at Potato Head. I don't know if you guys know that, the bar. We're on our second zombie, which is, mind-blowingly strong cocktail. And somebody messages me on Facebook and said, hey, have you got in touch with the Bali Reptile Rescue Squad? And I went, I might do that. So I sent them a message on Facebook and said, hey, if you're doing any snake call-outs while we're here, let me know. We'll come with you. And she instantly replied, she said, we're going to go to one now. Do you want to come along? And I said, we don't know these people, by the way. So I said, yeah. And I looked at Johnny, he goes, yeah, why not? So we went to the toilets, quick, sobered up, lots of cold water. And then we went outside and 2 women turned up on motorbikes. Now, when we landed in Bali, I swore I'd never going to get on a motorbike. Because I saw how
madness, isn't it?
Dangerous.
Oh, fuck.
However, for a snake call out, I'll do anything. To see a snake in the wild, anything, right? So we sat on the back and we're whizzing through Bali, and we went off to some bloke's house, and the snake was gone. But I was quite happy with just going on the back and doing that. I thought that was quite an adventure. And that night, she sends me another message, and she says, tomorrow we go catch king cobra.
Oh, yeah.
In the jungle, we relocate the eggs, right? And I looked at my husband now. Luckily for me, Johnny's all about adventure as well. I went, hell yeah. How many times do you get asked to go and catch a king cobra in the wild?
Yeah.
So what this group does is that when it's baby season, around about November, the villagers obviously are terrified of king cobra. And over there it is a big deal. They do kill a lot. So the Bali Reptile Rescue Squad actually pays the village people for them to tell them that there's a king cobra there, female on a nest, and then they'll go out and catch the snake, relocate the snake, take the eggs, incubate them, and release them back later to save them. Right? It's the only way that works. But they actually have to pay them. I get paid to relocate. They have to pay.
Yeah.
So they hired a car, and it was a big trip. It was 4 hours, and then it was another couple of hours on the back of motorbikes. It was very dangerous.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
In the middle of the jungle,
jungle on a bike.
Yeah,
and
it was. Yeah.
Is the population are they slow? Are they quite low at the moment? They're over there.
King cobras.
The king cobras population?
No, I don't think so. I don't know how threatened they are, if they're on the threatened list. I actually don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I think there's plenty of them out there. It's just better not around the villages. Right?
Yeah, okay.
So we went out and, they caught a king cobra. Oh, God, I tell you what. No, this one wasn't massive, but they've got a rehab station up on the mountains, and they had one in there, and they opened, because health and safety in Bali is not that important.
Yeah.
You'll be standing there, and one of the guys will go, hey, check this out. And he opens up the gate, and this 5-meter king cobra comes out. Oh, my God.
Beautiful.
I've never seen anything like that in my whole life.
Scary?
And he was, no, not for me. Respect, you have respect,
right, yeah.
but not scary and awe. Now, king cobras are the largest venomous snakes in the world, and they are huge. And when they stand up, they can be on eye level with you. They can look you straight in the eye.
Wow.
So this huge king cobra, he was telling me they brought it in, it was injured, and then they healed it and released it, and it just kept coming back. So they've just given it home there, and it just sort of wanders around.
Wow.
Yeah. So next thing you know, we're catching king cobras, and I was allowed to gather the eggs and put them in a box. 17 eggs, and they all hatched later.
Wow, that's awesome.
Best experience. Seeing something in wild is hands down the best experience.
Did you see anything else when you're going through the jungle? Any other weird exotic animals that were you're like, whoa, look at that? Or not really?
No. I wish.
Probably a good thing.
I think India has quite a lot of snakes as well, and
king
cobras and stuff like
cobras,
that. India has like a large population of snakes from memory.
Yeah, I actually did a BBC World interview with a female snake catcher over there a few years ago, and it was really interesting because the way that they catch snakes is completely different. And here, she's got anti-venom with her. We can't have that because it's going to be in the fridge, and there's no point. You don't need it in Australia. As long as you get your compression bandage on, you get to hospital, you don't need anti-venom. I mean, the hospital will decide whether they give it to you or not. That's not something that we can do. But in India, they do. And in India, they're very, very strict on photos and things like that. You're not allowed to take a selfie with a snake. They're very, very, very protected.
Are they revered over in India? I think, are they kind of seen as a like a protected species, or
like religiously?
Religiously,
I think they are. I think they are. But then on the other hand, some of the people there they've got silly beliefs. They put milk out, and that kills the king cobras. They don't drink. They're not supposed to drink milk. So some of their beliefs are not good for the snakes. Some are good.
Okay.
But a lot more people die over there.
Yeah. And I've seen documentaries about like the most venomous snakes in the world, and I've always been fascinated by the black mamba in Africa, because they probably are the ones. Are they probably one of the only snakes that will actually go and attack you? I've seen on that documentary, they basically were like, he's one of the only snakes in the world that'll actually physically chase you down.
They're fast. Black mambas, I think, are the fastest. Yeah, there's a lot of debate out there. A lot of snake people will say they never, ever attack you. And I think when we say that they don't attack us, they defend themselves. There's a difference. There's a difference. No snake wants to use its venom on a human being because that venom is specifically for its prey.
Sure.
And if it's used its venom on you, then it's got to regenerate it. And that could mean a couple of days of no food.
Yeah.
So a snake never attacks you, but they're not the smartest animal. So if you're standing in its pathway, it looks like it's going to chase you, and it just wants more space. So it can appear in that way. But attacking's a bit different. Yeah.
Okay. So if you do, like, education-wise, if you do get bitten by a snake, I've read, like, some people say, oh, you've got to suck the poison out. And all that. What is the best way? If you get bitten by, just say, an Eastern brown or a red belly black, what's the best process to...
Absolutely. Well, only in Australia. Yeah. And I would say this for all snake bites, unless you know 100% what that snake is, because that happens too often that people get confused with snakes, right? The first thing that you want to do is keep calm, obviously. If you are alone, you want to lay down. Your phone's actually your best tool. Call an ambulance. Get a compression bandage around it. So the venom in Australia, in Australian snakes, works through the lymphatic system, right? Not through the blood.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's a bit like a sponge. So if you can compress that like a sprained ankle, if you get bitten on the hand, usually people get bitten on legs or hands.
Yeah.
If you get bitten there, you want to, get a stocking or a bandage. If you're lucky, you've got bandage, but anything, and just keep that area compressed. So you want to put a big bandage all the way up to the top, as much as you can. If you can get a spleen, just so you don't move that limb. That's the number one thing. If you can keep still and keep that compressed and not move your limb, you've got 24 hours to get to hospital. But if you walk around...
That's what they say, isn't it? The more movement...
Yeah. Now, here's another problem. The Eastern brown snake bite doesn't have any pain. Okay, so there's no pain involved. It sounds really bad, but once again, I have to keep mentioning that only 2-3 people die a year. So if you get bitten by an Eastern brown, they've got very, very short fangs, which is good if you're wearing boots and jeans. We always say if you're going to go outside in the garden, wear jeans and boots. They cannot penetrate that. If they do penetrate it, they're small fangs. So it's not a massive bite. It's not a painful bite, and there's no pain associated with the venom. And the venom can take up to 20 minutes. So in 20 minutes, you could be walking around, having a beer, and that did happen to a guy up in, I think it was Townsville a couple of years ago. He thought that it must have been a harmless one, and he walked around the village, it was somewhere up north, with the snake, asking people what it was, and by that time it reached the organs and too late.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. But it's not that often. Yeah. Honest to God, everybody thinks Australia's so dangerous. Yeah. Do you know what? When I moved out here, when I was 24, the one thing didn't care about the animals. The thing that I was scared the most was crime. But Australia's got very low crime, so why hype the country is not that dangerous.
Nah.
It really isn't that dangerous.
That's what you get from it. Like, still, I'm over here 10 years, I'd say the lads get it as well. When you talk to people at home, oh, it's full of spiders. Why would you bother living there? Like, I'm not even messing. I reckon the last time I seen a spider in here was about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So I very rarely
A
see
huntsman, and then they say you're better off leaving a huntsman because they eat all the cockroaches and all.
Exactly.
They're like the best thing to have in a house.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Actually, Johnny got bitten by a redback in Roma, and it did
Oh, yeah.
nothing. Nothing.
No.
Just a sore hand for a little
I
bit.
always
nothing.
thought that I was told that the bite off them is like getting a smack of a hammer if you get bitten on the thumb or something like that.
I think
it's
the female
really
and males are
Okay.
different. Yeah, I think one's more.
Yeah,
more
potent.
potent,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. But then again, that all comes down to education. I think like
Yeah.
that. People back home are just told, "Oh, Australia is full of all these venomous things that can kill you." Blah blah blah. But it's like you said, when do you actually see all these things?
Yeah.
Like snakes will run away from you before they'll come near you because of vibrations. They just want to get the hell out of there.
It's like that show, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Have you seen that back home? That's what I think everybody thinks.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I know them animals are in Australia, but we very rarely see them animals. Like, half of the animals that are on that show, I haven't even seen in person. You know,
Yeah.
people they just take that as, oh, that's all of Australia. I wouldn't go there.
Yeah.
So that, yeah.
I seen a snake about 10 days ago.
Did you?
Yeah, I think
Where?
I want to say it was a carpet python.
Yeah, if it's got a
somewhere.
pattern on it, it'll be a carpet
Yeah, I can show you a
python.
video in
Yeah.
a second.
Yeah.
And it was trying to get out of the way. Like if I was walking down and it was sort of going across into the bushes, and straight away I took a photo and took a video of it. And it was just looked like it was trying to get away from me and movement and noise and just get back to whatever it was doing. And I think more often than not, you know, if you just leave it and let it do its thing and get out its way, and you know, it'll go its way. But
there's no programs in schools where they actually educate kids about the
Well, they're going to have to
spiders
do
and snakes
something,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. No.
I think the whole school system needs an overhaul because
Yeah.
the things that they're teaching kids now is irrelevant. It's ridiculous. What we need to know, if we're going to survive on this planet, we need to know, you know, everything from climate change. We need to know social interaction. I mean, that's all going out the window, and people are having mental health problems. Let's forget algebra and all that shit. I'm sorry, but let's just, you know, that is not important. What is important for us to survive is how to cope. How are we going to cope, you know, with mental health problems? How are we going to cope with loneliness? So many people are getting lonely, and yet, you know, we've got all this digital stuff. No, that's not going to help us. And then kids coming out of school, they're just not having these skills anymore.
And with regards to climate change, is it having a massive impact on the snake population, or is it increasing, decreasing with the effects of climate change?
Well, I think no. There's the same amount of snakes.
Yeah.
The population is the bigger issue, right?
Yeah.
If we're going to move people up, you know, people moving to Brisbane, we're going to expand even further.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have more encounters. There aren't more snakes out there.
It's just people are getting more like
the city's moving big. The city's getting bigger. Is that what you, like
the likes
of
the likes of North Lakes. That's nearly its own bloody kind of city now at this stage. But they're taking over snakes' habitats, and that's the issue.
And another thing is, a lot of people like to keep chickens in their back gardens and guinea pigs and stuff like that. Well, you know, that's a good food source.
It's just nature, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're gonna go find a food source.
What do you feed your snakes?
Well, okay, so if you've got pet snakes, you know, whether it's in a zoo or whether, because I'm a wildlife demonstrator, or you've just got them, you know, as a pet, the rats and mice, so it can only be rats and mice and quails.
There you go. There's a business opportunity. Go back down to the hay and just get all those. Bring them back up. You make a fortune.
Freeze them. And then
freeze them and sell them.
And they have to be dead. It is illegal in Australia to feed your pet snake a live rat for a very good reason. It's cruel on both of them. I did come across a young person a couple of years ago who mentioned that their uncle had, you know, fed the pet snake a live rat, and he came back a bit later and the rat had killed the snake.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that happens. If the snake's not hungry, I mean, it's not a wild snake. It's just going to go, what's that doing in my cage?
Yeah.
Next thing, the rat's killed the snake.
Rats are. I only watched a documentary yesterday on rats.
Vicious.
Rats, they're smart as well.
Yeah.
I've broke a bone in my foot, so all this week I've been watching documentaries and you name it, and I watched a documentary for 2 hours on rats. Man, rats are fucking smart, and I've learned a lot of stuff about rats in the last few days.
They'll probably be around once we've gone,
Jesus.
Yeah.
You've been watching documentaries
Mad
about
stuff.
rats?
I've been sitting in a bed the last week watching documentaries, just YouTube
Good
videos.
on you.
Yeah. Just mad stuff like it. Just
You never know when he's going to be locked in a room full of rats. He might need to get out of that
Joe Rogan
situation.
was talking about it. He said there's a good show for anyone that want to watch on rats. You'd learn a lot about them. And had a bit of spare time, so I watched it. And now if you need any advice on any rats, let me know.
Well, that's better than watching Married at First Sight and all that
Hey,
shit. Sorry,
amen.
so good on
Exactly.
you. Good on you.
I can't watch that reality.
Nah. Let's not even. Actually, we could go there. I could talk a lot about. I hate those shows. I think they just created more and more and more drama.
Yeah.
And the more that we're surrounding ourselves with irritable stuff, because that show makes you irritable. You watch these people and it's all set up, and I don't think they're very vulnerable. I actually feel sorry for the people that go on these shows because I know what they're going to cop when they come off.
After it, yeah.
And I don't think they realise that.
Yeah.
Have you ever been approached by any of them shows or shows like that to do some work like that?
Absolutely.
Have you?
Loads. Well, the shows that... Oh, God, you're going to love this. Right. Geordie Shore.
Oh, jeez.
No. Right, there's a really funny story
Liam
behind
actually
this.
auditioned and he didn't get picked.
That's a complete and utter lie.
Is that a lie?
That's a lie.
Actually, they're really nice kids. But I'll tell you what happened. My two girls, when they were still at home and they were teenagers, I think the last argument I had with my eldest daughter, she was about 14, was about Geordie Shore because she was watching it at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And I got up, having my breakfast, and then I'm watching on the screen some young girl that's peed the bed because she's that drunk, and I said no more. So I put a lock on MTV, right, a parental lock, and my eldest actually moved in with her dad then.
I got to catch up on Geordie Shore.
But that was all good. And that's completely normal that kids do that, and I totally encouraged it. But the funny thing was, it was about 2 years later or 3 years later, Geordie Shore rings me, the producer, and he said, "Oh, we're coming to the Gold Coast. We'd like to have you in the show."
No way.
And I thought, well, that's a bit hypocritical. Yeah. So I rang up my daughters and asked them, I said, "Oh, Simone, Geordie Shore, how much I hate it. Well, they've asked me to be on it." And she goes, "Hell yeah, Mum, you've got to go on that."
Get on
so
that.
I took her with me on set so she could meet all the cast and everything like that. And they're lovely people. They're lovely kids. No problems there. I was on the Freddie Flintoff show. Jack Whitehall recently. The casting director wanted me to be on Survivor, but I never quite understood where I fit in. They wanted me as a champion, and I'm like, I'm not a champion. Well, I've never won anything. I'm a snake catcher, but I'm not a champion. Yeah. So I think that came down to, they approached lots of people, and I didn't get picked, right? I also got hit up by the casting director to be on Wife Swap, which my husband was not keen on. I was like, I'll do it. And hubby's like, no, I don't want another woman in my house, no.
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? That's a good thing.
And once again, that one, it went all the way to the network, and they said, no, she's got too much of a media profile. We want somebody... So for Survivor, I wasn't famous enough, and for Wife Swap, I was too famous.
Too famous.
And what was Freddie like? Was he?
He was awesome. Oh my God, we had so much fun. So he's doing a TV show around Australia where he gets to do Aussie things and that. And his friend Rob, I think it is Rob, he's lovely too. So they turn up, and my job was to give them a quick snake catching lesson in the back garden. Yep. And then we went for a snake call out, and oh God, did we laugh, because Rob's got an absolute phobia of snakes. And the first thing I did was throw a snake around his shoulders and walked off, right? Exposure therapy. By the way, did you see me on the Hughesy show the other night?
I didn't know.
God, that went viral. It went on Gogglebox and everything.
No way.
Oh, man, that's brilliant.
Funny. I went on there because of my fear of spiders.
Oh, okay.
And they brought out a bloody tarantula and a huntsman.
Oh, yeah.
And the huntsman got out.
I've seen a clip of it.
One of the funniest things you've ever seen.
How fast did those things move?
Yeah, I did see that.
And it got out in the studio.
And everybody was like, is this...
Where the hell is it
No one knew
gone?
whether it was serious or what. And the girl was like, no, it's seriously the spider has gone somewhere, and everyone was shitting themselves.
Yep. So, that was a good one. Freddie's great. He's got no fear of anything. Actually, do you know what? I've got a claim to fame. I've sold my motorbike now, but I had a big motorbike with a sidecar.
Seeing that, you and Johnny used to flow around. There's
a cool story behind that sidecar. So I'm a big believer in law of attraction, and I've been doing it for 11 years, and I'm telling you now, it works. If you're in the right energy, and it works. So I got my motorbike license after my divorce, and my daughters were doing shared care. So they were with me 1 week and 1 week with the dad, which was great because I could be a biker chick 1 week. I could forget all about being a mum, get out on my motorbike, and I joined Ulysses, the old farts club, brilliant bunch of people. That you're supposed to be over 50 when you join them, but they tell you can join if you're under, if you've got to be over 40, as long as you help them up on the motorbikes. They don't need help. They're lovely people. And then after two years, the ex didn't want to do shared care anymore because I wasn't moving the girls' school and whatnot, so they came and lived with me full time. I thought, how can I get out on my motorbike? And I had this crazy idea about a sidecar. Now, this is the truth. I'm not exaggerating this. I had $1,500 in the bank. And I looked everywhere for a sidecar, not easy to get.
Yeah.
The only way I could see for me to get a sidecar was to build one in Melbourne for $10,000, which no way as a single woman, single mum I could do. So I put it on my goal list. Every year I have a goal list that I put on my fridge with some pictures on it about 6 different things. And then I just visualised it. Every time I had a van at the time, every time I sat in the van and my girl sat next to me, I would visualise myself
on the
bike with the sidecar. And I'm not kidding you. 2 weeks later, there was a sidecar on eBay for $1,500.
Oh, wow.
A double-seater in the exact same burgundy colour as my motorbike.
No way.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I can tell you loads of stories like that. I visualised my husband, the house, the car, everything.
Yeah.
I've done it so many times.
And when did that start? Did you read the book The Secret? Is that when that started, or the law of attraction stuff?
No, it didn't come from The Secret.
Yeah.
That's sort of a bit commercial, The Secret. I'm not that fussed about it. There's actually a better book, The Answer. Read that one.
Okay.
That's the information after. That was the book written after it. For me, it started with the very first book I read was by Tony Robbins, and it was Unleash the Power. I do all his seminars, by the way, all of them. Yeah, I've done Fiji, I've done Date with Destiny, I'm a massive fan.
Because me and Carly are gonna do one in September.
Yeah,
this
I'll be
year.
there. I'll be there.
Okay, so maybe we'll do that. Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Honest to God, do it. You will not regret it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've done 4 of them now.
I've seen them, the seminars. I listened to a podcast. They're pretty expensive to go to, are they?
Nah, that's nothing compared to what you get back. Let me tell you something, right? The one in Sydney, the 4-day one, is only $1,000. That is nothing. I've been to far more expensive ones by other people, and they were nowhere near as good.
Yeah, the one that I've seen, this guy paid $5,000 for.
That's Date with Destiny. That goes to 6 days, and that's intensive.
He said it was the best thing he's ever
Absolutely.
done.
Now, not last year, the year before, I do the Firewalk one, the one for $1,000. And towards the end of it, he does you a really good package, which includes business mastery, health and wealth in Fiji and that.
Yeah.
And it's not cheap. But I know without Tony Robbins, I wouldn't be where I am now with a TV show and all the success. And it's not because he did it for me, it's because I changed something inside of me.
Yeah.
And I just knew. So when they did the package, I won't say I got sucked into it, but I went and I bought the whole package. And then I had to call up my husband and say, first of all, we're going to need a loan for $11,000. And secondly, you know how we were going to go for our 50th on a cruise? I've decided we're going to do Date with Destiny instead. Now, I'm lucky John's a massive supporter of anything that I do. And he's like, yep, sweet, no worries, I'll get a loan. And we did it. Now, so that would have been about $15,000, $16,000, and that's not including the flights and the accommodation in Fiji and that. I kid you not, I had signed it, went home. Within 4 months, I made that money back. It just came like that. I got gigs in, I don't know, something happens. I got a week's worth of shopping centre. I made $5,000 in a week. Then I got a speaking tour. You know, I made that money and that's what happened.
And was that in his own island in Fiji? Because I know he owns an island there.
Yeah. He's not actually there in Fiji. So it's a health and wealth week, but he's not actually there. He has somebody that runs it for him who is just as good. Well, almost just as good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I'm looking forward to doing that. That'll
Do
be
it.
awesome.
Yes.
I'll tell you guys about it a bit more after.
I've only first time I've heard about Tony Robbins was because of McGregor.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor,
Yes.
you know, he's been saying he's changed.
Well, Conor McGregor practices the law of attraction really like a lot
he's
as
one of the
well.
main people
He does a lot about it.
So does Jim Carrey.
Jim
so
Carrey,
does Oprah Winfrey.
Oprah,
a lot of people do it. I'm telling you, what it does. I mean, we're all made out of energy, as you know. It works at a frequency.
Yeah.
When you're in a high state of energy, when you're really excited or you're feeling successful, something like that, your frequency travels. It does travel and it carries information with it. So if you impress what you want to do while you're feeling this energy, I don't know how it works, but you attract. Things come to you. You've still got to be out there taking action. But suddenly you're in this kind of energy thing, and suddenly things just flow.
Yeah.
And it's
I think it reminds you to take action as well. Do you not think like if you're visualizing whatever it might be, it's a constant reminder to you, like, okay, this isn't just going to pop up. I have to take action to get this,
yes.
like, and
yes.
you're constantly like, you're directing your energy towards things that will help you get this,
yes.
So, it's awesome. Yeah.
You attract the right kind of people, and it really, I know it's bizarre because we're so used to using our little pissy bit of conscious mind here, and that's actually not where the magic is. The magic's in the back.
Yeah.
But start. Honestly, I would recommend, oh my gosh, I've just got my brother into it. He's going to his first seminar in May in Birmingham, because he's still in Germany, so he's going to Birmingham to do it. But I would recommend, you will never regret it. I know it seems like a lot of money, but what you get out of it, God, I wish they would. And you can only, Tony Robbins, there's something about him. He's magic, that man.
And the 7-day one, they reckon it's like the days are so long, but the energy in the room is just, it keeps you going. I mean, how long's the days? 12-hour days or so?
Oh, God, longer than that some days. Yeah, so me and hubby went there. That's really intense. The one in Sydney goes long too.
Okay.
But trust me, everything that he tells you, you're just like, oh, wow. You wouldn't know this stuff. Go. The information that you get, and then obviously he has strategies. He takes you through a meditation process and through a process of changing your beliefs. And the way that he does that is that he has one afternoon that, he dimmers the lights, and you're in this hallway with, I don't know, 5,000 people all doing the same, and he gets you to pick something that you want to change in your life. And then he gets you, he does this really clever with music, and he's got, the energy.
Everyone's dancing every
Oh, yeah. But there's a reason why you learn a lot quicker. If you're sitting there, you only take about 5 or 10% in. If you're moving around, you've got to stay, you absorb it a lot quicker. So he gets you to take a belief that you want to change, right? And then he gets you to associate as much pain with it as you can. This is how you change your beliefs. Like, he'll start off with saying, do you think that somebody's addicted or bad behavior, can they change it in a split second? And everybody go, no, you can't. If they don't want to, can they? Yes, they can. They just need a bad experience, and then they'll change it forever. Yeah. So the way that you can do that to yourself is, so a universal thought, which I had and most people have, is I'm not good enough. Right, so that was the first thing that I had to work on. I'm not good enough because I got kicked out of school. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. And then he gets you to imagine the pain that's causing and exaggerate it. So what pain? For me, it would be like, well, I'm not going to be a good role model for my kids. I'm never going to succeed. I'm going to be, poor for the rest of my life. All these things. Then you magnify it in your brain and you make it really, really painful. At this stage, you've got a hall full of 5,000 people crying. Yeah. It's really intense, but it freaking well works, I'm telling you. And then you keep doing that and keep doing it. He takes you through the process, and then he snaps you out of it, and then he gets you to take a new belief and associate as much pleasure with that as you can. And I kid you not, you don't want to go back to the other belief. And I walked out of, the very first seminar I did with him was maybe 6 years ago, and I walked out, I get emotional now. I never, ever, ever thought I wasn't good enough again after that.
Wow, that's
brilliant.
brilliant.
And yet, my whole life, I thought, because I got kicked out of school, that I wasn't good enough. It's rubbish.
That's awesome.
Absolute rubbish.
Before you went to it, were you going in going, what, like, were you positive? Were you going, this is just another?
No, I knew him. I'd read his books. That's what I was going to say. The first time I did this visualization was, I was actually still married to the ex, and I'd picked up a Tony Robbins book because I was hoping I could change myself somehow to make the marriage work. And he started to talk about the goal setting and visualization. And I was working at Weight Watchers at the time, and they ran a competition to see who. The competition was to get as many customers or many of your clients on this direct debit system. So they don't pay weekly; they pay once a month, and it's a much better system because people will go more often if they don't have to pay. Because once they know they put on weight, nobody's going to turn up, right? But that's when they need to turn up because then they get back on the wagon, right? And the prize of this competition was a voucher with Flight Centre. And we had just come back from a holiday with Mum and Dad. And Mum and Dad said they always wanted to go to Thailand. And I said, wouldn't it be nice if we could meet somewhere rather than us always going to their house? Because it's not really a holiday for them. But we had no money at all. And then Weight Watchers brought out this competition. And I thought, if I win that would cover our flights. But I've never won anything in my life. I don't know how to do this. I've never really attempted to win anything. I've just never won anything. And I read through the book And I did exactly what the book told me. I printed out pictures of Thailand. I put them up wherever I could look. And I visualized myself running down the beach. Mum and dad's there and my kids are having a great time. We're all on this great holiday. And I was so excited. And I allowed myself, you know, because you get that little thought going, oh, don't be stupid. You're never going to win this. And I wouldn't. I said, no, I'm allowed to dream and I'm going to dream this. Now, what happened was that I would wake up in the middle of the night with ideas on how I could improve my sales rates. That's what happened with my brain. And then you've got to act on it. Yeah. So suddenly I got all these brilliant ideas. Oh, I could go back to old members and offer them, you know, something to come back and then change the plan and this and that and this and that. I did believe in the plan. It wasn't just to win it. It was actually a really good plan. And I kicked ass. I absolutely kicked ass. I was second best in the whole of Australia. I should have been first, but the first one, she was rural, and that's all they did was direct debit. And then they ran another competition, and I won that again. And I thought, holy shit, man, there's something in my brain that I didn't know I had. And just by actually visualizing you're already there, your brain comes up with the answers. And that's how I do it, yeah.
So powerful. So powerful.
Good, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm trying to get these two guys reading more and onto this type of stuff because I've been, like you, I've been doing this or reading this type of stuff for a long time. But
and that's really hard. How do you encourage
how
others
did
to
you
do
get
it?
started on that? Like, how did along that journey to reading? Who gave you the first book? How did it all start? Where did it start from?
Well, the book actually called my name. I had a big fight with the ex and went down to Sydney with the girls just for a couple of nights away, and I was just desperate for an answer. And I was in a bookstore, and suddenly it just jumped out at me. There's a saying: the teacher arrives when the student's ready.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm very careful that I don't give my books to anybody else because they're my books. I write in them myself. Yeah. I love books have got to look dirty and messy and gritty. Yeah. I love it. I love highlighting things in the book. I don't want a book to look like an ornament. Yeah. So, and I don't give them books to anybody else because that's a personal thing. And I don't think people value books when they just borrow them.
No.
You've got to be ready. And the best thing that I can give anybody is go into a bookshop and then just look at all these kind of non-fiction books and then read the back of it and something will jump out at you. I'm at a different stage than what you are or you are. I'm looking for different answers now. It will jump out at you and you'll go, oh, this is it. I've always wanted to know, why do people do that? Or why do I do that? Or what else is out there? And then you'll buy that book and that's your book. That's your teacher there.
Yeah, that's very true. Because what I did is, so I first started, I used to lecture a long time ago, and a friend of mine or another lecturer, he was always on to me for reading. Anyways, I used to say, I'll read when I get round to it, no worries. And he gave me a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh, yeah, I've read that. That's good.
It sat there on my bedside table for probably about 2 years. I didn't touch it, didn't come. I don't know what made. One day I walked in the room and it was there, and I just, for some reason, I just picked it up and I just got myself a cup of tea and I just started reading. Wow. And I'd never read a book in my life at that point. I'd been to university and I'd studied and done stuff and read articles and journals and stuff, but never really read a book. Anyways, I think I was about 5 pages in, and I just got hooked. It sort of like opened up my mind to a new. I don't know. It just opened my vision up. Like I felt before that I had sort of tunnel vision, but now I could see things properly. You know, I could see other people's opinions, and that just snowballed and led me on to the journey that I'm on there now with reading. So I actually gave it to him. Or did I tell you to buy it? You bought it?
Because I was from school, I've read, the only books I've read before was Stephen Gerrard's autobiography, Roy Keane's book. So, they were good, but I was only reading it just because they're like me, people that I love. And then I was like, I've never been interested in a book. So since I met Mully, he's always talking about books, or give me a book that I can get something from or start. I have it in there. I'm nearly finished it. I'm not gonna lie, it's good, but I just don't know whether it's far. I just don't know whether at the minute it's what to get me hooked or what. It's good, and I see the principles of it and all that, but I just think it's a bit boring at the minute. So I don't know whether
you're
it's
not there.
hard.
You're not no, and absolutely, you're right. It's just that saying is so spot on. The teacher arrives, when the students read. That's not the area that you obviously
straight
need.
into.
No, exactly. I think the one from Jack Canfield, The Success Principles, I sent that to my brother.
Yeah.
And this was the beginning because he left his wife last year. And, I felt that was the book. That's the one that started me off. And that's a real practical book and not too much. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is that the Robert
Kiyosaki?
It depends. I mean, that might not be the area. When I left my ex, finances, I haven't worked on finances. I'm not poor, but it's not an area that is... important to me.
That's what I mean.
Well, to me, when I left, it's what area is important to you. The others, otherwise, you're just reading it for no reason. When I left my ex, setting boundaries, first book I read, I need to know how to set boundaries with people because I could see a pattern there. Next thing, how to raise children, because raising children is more important than finances right now or anything else. So it's whatever's important to you.
That's a really true point. When I picked up Rich Dad Poor Dad, I was dirt poor.
You needed that book. And that's why you were open to it. Where else, if you're not in need of it, then no.
I've never actually thought of it like that. Yeah. So
what's an area you'd like to improve in your life?
Well, at the minute...
His haircut. His haircut.
Haircut?
My hair's alright. I've more hair than you, Davey. So I don't know, you're on it.
I shave my head.
At the minute, right, it's funny that we're talking about this. So I'm a toiler by trade.
Sorry, a toilet?
Tyler.
Oh.
He's a toilet as well.
Toilet. Every time he says that, everybody, a toilet.
Toilet, you're a toilet.
I have to put my American accent on when I'm explaining it. Tyler. So I do bathrooms, kitchen, floors, all that sort of stuff.
So you're tradie. Like me.
Right. Yeah. Been doing that the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And look, I enjoy it. It's good money. But I just think I'm at a stage, since I've hurt myself, I'm kind of at a stage where I'm just over it and I want to do something new.
Okay.
So the last probably 2-3 weeks, I've been thinking what I'm good at. Like, I've never done sales. I've never done anything else. I've only worked in construction, but I want to get out there and do something differently. I've been thinking like mad. I've been talking to Billy about it nearly every night. I've been thinking about getting into acting, thinking about what else have I been talking about Billy? I'm like a broken record talking to him.
Catching snakes.
Anything.
Just thinking about mad things. So I don't know. I need a book where I can open my mind up of, as you said, find something that I love.
Unleash your potential.
Yeah. I'll tell you something really cool that I've come across. And to me, this is the biggest insight that I've received over my whole lifetime, I dare say. There's a lady who was on a podcast with Tony Robbins. There's a lady called Gretchen Rubin in New York. And she's written 1 million bestseller. And this book, oh God, she's just nailed it. She's found that people fit into 4 categories. Now, this is not personality or anything like that. But it's really, really important because once you know where you fit in, you'll know what to do, right? So, and it's how we meet expectations, right? So I'll explain it. You'll understand. And let me know which one you think you fit in because I could guess it. Yeah, I probably know which one you're. All right. So group number 1, upholders. Now, upholders are very good at meeting external expectations, but they're also good at meeting their own expectations. So they like routines and lists, and they're quite disciplined. They'll get up to go to the gym, take some time out for themselves, but they'll also get the work done. And they can also be a little bit uptight towards others because they don't understand why other people don't do as they're told. They have no problems, right? So they're very good at all those kind of things. Then you've got the next group, the obligers. Obligers are very good at meeting external expectations, but not their own. They just simply, they won't do anything for themselves without being accountable. They're the kind of people that say, oh, I'm doing that, I haven't got time, I'm looking after everybody else, I haven't got time. But the truth is, even if you take everybody else away, they just can't do it. Yeah. They need to be held accountable. Then you've got the questioners. Questioners will meet their own expectations, but if you want something from them, they've got 1 million questions. And they're usually journalists and that. They need data. It's got to make sense to them. Their brains need lots of information. Then you've got the smallest group, which I am in, my youngest daughter's in, the rebels. The rebels resist all expectations. They resist external ones and internal. So as soon as anybody tells us what, whether it's a doctor, meaning well, or my mum or anybody else, in my head, I've got this voice that says, you're not the boss of me. I'm not going to do that. I'll do exactly the opposite, right? Now, the good thing with rebels is we don't necessarily break the law. We love challenges and we're entrepreneurs. We don't make very good employees because we'll go off and do our own shit anyhow, eventually, right?
Yeah.
But you give us a chance, or when we want to do something, we will succeed, excel. We just will. So once you know that, I mean, it's very important if you've got children to realise my eldest daughter's an upholder. So no problem at school, absolute teacher's pet, no problem at home, nice and tidy, clean, likes routine, structure, which she didn't have very much in my house because I'm a rebel. And I think that's one of the reasons why she moved in with her dad, because I'm just like, oh, dinner time? What dinner? Oh yeah, dinner. Okay, shit, what do we have? I don't think in routine ways, right? Now, this is something completely hardwired, and it's not a personality, it's just you'll know. So there is a quiz that you can do. It's called the 4 Tendencies. Okay. Now, I've got a feeling that looking at you, you're an upholder because you're very fit. And I can see you're an upholder, right?
Routine and discipline is my thing. Yeah.
Okay, your energy tends to be, I would say, more towards an obliger.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Okay. I think you could be a rebel. Would you have a little rebel sing here? Yeah.
Hopefully. I think so.
Guys, do the quiz. It's called the 4 Tendencies, and then it gives you a whole description. And you tell me if that's not you. Because once you know that, you'll know what's going to get you to work. If you're a rebel, you need a challenge. You're not going to do well with people telling you what to do, right? And the way that I get around that, because I can't even do what I'm telling myself to do. And that's difficult. So the way that I do everything is everything's a challenge to me now. Yeah. And I do things in secret because I want to prove people. If I tell people I'm going to do it, I won't do it. If I say to you, right, like my husband, for instance, I've been renovating the house because we want to sell it and we want to have our own little pad. I don't tell him that I'm going to renovate it because as soon as I say I'm going to do it, I don't want to do it anymore. It's like, no, it's expectation now. So whilst he's away, I'll excel the renovation and then he comes back and I go, da-da, and that's how I get around. Everything has to be a challenge.
Yeah, I love challenges. I do stuff like that, like just in a small example. So I went home a while ago to my mum's house, and I never told her I was going to tile her house. And I was Tyler house, sorry. And I came home, she didn't tell her. Yeah. If I had told her, I would have, like you said, I kind of would have been like, I have to get this done.
Yes.
So I didn't say anything. Yeah. The day I landed, I said, she thought it was a holiday. Yeah. I said, no, look, I'm tiling the whole house. And she was like, what? I was like, yep. So I've done our bathroom, done our kitchen, and I just done it off impulse, and she loved it. So I'm kind of like that. I love just challenges, but usually when I say I'm going to do something, I put it on the long finger.
You're a rebel. Do the quiz. Honestly, do the quiz. The more you get into this, there's a whole book. Read the book. You then see patterns, in people, and you don't get frustrated with them anymore.
That sounds interesting. Yeah.
You don't get frustrated with them. My husband Johnny, he's an upholder too, and he just does things. He says, "Why don't you kids do what they're told?" Because Kaylee's a rebel. She's not going to do as she's told. Some people don't. He would. If I tell him to do something, he'll do it. And once you understand that, also how to get around people. And you also know, I guess, when it comes to relationships, it's so important.
Yeah, I bet.
Because, especially with rebels, the last thing you want to do is tell a rebel what to do. Just don't. It won't work.
So what goes with what if you were like matching the partners?
As a relationship, well, it's odd because this lady Gretchen reckons that, rebels match the best with obligers. I don't agree with that personally. Maybe it's because I'm very driven and very ambitious. I get a little bit frustrated with people that can't make things happen. I'm like, just fucking do it, right? So I think any cross one is good. Yeah. But I don't think if you're the same, I think you're gonna have in trouble. And I think that's what happened to my brother and his wife. They're both upholders, and there were too many rules and regulations, and the world isn't like that. Life isn't like that.
Clash with each other.
I think as an obliger, any of us is perfect. The same for you. Yeah. Don't try not to be together with an upholder because you're going to have so many rules.
Carly is same as Davy.
That matches perfect.
Like
Have you got a girlfriend?
Yeah, and she's an upholder. So
it works, doesn't it? Yeah.
Sometimes it drives me mental. Keep smiling.
But now you know why. And I'm telling you, it's hardwired. In fact, I've got this theory about it. Right, you're the first ones to hear it. We recently had termites in the house. My husband took off the skirting board and there's termites. Luckily, it was only in the skirting boards and in the door frame. But I panicked. So I went onto a website and did all my research on termites. And then I found out that termites actually love rock music. They chew a lot faster if you play them rock music. Bit Led Zeppelin. Well, what do you think we listened to downstairs in the pool room where the frickin' termites were chomping away? Rock music, right? Now, what was interesting is the whole setup of termites. You've got the soldiers, you've got, the workers, you've got the leaders and things like that. So my theory is, because I don't think anything's an accident on this planet. Everything's got its exact purpose. We're not an accident. I think that we're hardwired that way because you need rebels to form a path. Rebels would be, Richard Branson, people that make big changes, because we don't follow rules and regulations, which is very frustrating to you people, I know, because my husband's the same. I can't, But on the other hand, you need upholders to then come in and put things into place, because you're very good at that.
Yeah.
Then you need the questioners to get, I need all the information surrounding whatever we're doing, and then we need the obligers to do the work. And I feel awful, but we need the nurturers and the obligers. And I think there's a structure in humans that's why it's meant to be. But honest to God, the more you get into it, look around, you'll find. What are you behind the camera? I'm looking at your energy.
I feel as though...
Will he be an obliger, would he?
I think you'd be obliger.
Yeah, you come across a bit more as an... Yeah.
Yeah, I think obligers have like a lot more... So Carly, for example, she has a lot more empathy than me.
Yeah.
And even driving here, some guy cut me off and I'm blinding you, blind, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, he's probably in a hurry. And I'm like... Don't do that. Don't defend him. He cut me off. And I'm like, straight away on there, like offensive. I'm like, blah blah blah. She was like, no, he's probably in a hurry. Look, just let it go, will you? And I'm thinking, okay, but it works, like you said it does. It's super interesting, isn't it?
It's fascinating, and that's what I think everybody should be far more interested in is the whole human psychology and why we do things and that, because once you understand this, and there's a whole world out there you can read. In fact, my eyesight now is not very good, so I don't read, but I get audiobooks. I've got a membership with Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
And I set myself a goal I set 6 goals, and one of my goals was to read 12 books, which is a joke because I've already read 6 and it's March. Yeah. I listen to them now. Every time I get in the car, I just listen to them.
I was thinking, I don't know whether I said it to you, instead of reading, do you reckon if I get an audiobook, because it might suit different people, so an audiobook might work better for me maybe. Yeah. So I think I'll have to...
Well, if you listen to a lot of podcasts, and obviously,
about 5 podcasts a week. So I'm sure if I got an audiobook, it's listening to people. And
you can listen... Well, you probably don't do housework, but, you put it on while I'm doing housework. Every time I'm in the car, I have that on. I don't ever listen to the radio, and it becomes a habit. And it's kind of cool because, sometimes I've got long trips to do shows and stuff like that, and I know I'm educating myself. Yeah. And I think, for me, that's a big fact. I like to be educated and stay educated. For me, the biggest failure in life for me would be not to educate, not to know anything, and walk through life and just have no idea why. And
well, you wouldn't be where you are if you didn't have that mindset, Like,
no, I wouldn't. Absolutely not. I would. No way.
Or where you'll probably be in 5 years' time, having the mindset you have it will take you to where you're destined to be, which is awesome. Like, I haven't made the transition into audiobooks yet. I just like having something in front of me.
Read it. It's just my eyes and a strain
like I did try it. I tried it with the Barefoot Investor, and I just felt as though I just couldn't retain. I don't know what it was. I'm like you. I need to make notes and highlight and sometimes I'll do that on the side. And I did try it once. I got the Amazon membership, but
whatever works for you. And some people might prefer YouTube videos. Yeah. I mean, there's videos out there. It's TED Talks. I listen to a lot of TED Talks because they're nice and quick. They're usually about 15 to 18 minutes. And if there's a topic that interests you, I love TED Talks. Yeah. So that's another thing. But here's the thing. When I split up with my ex and I was really, really depressed, I did have to go on antidepressants for 6 months. But I also realised that whilst I'm on these pills, I needed to make some massive changes in my life so I could get off these pills as well. So that was really important to me. But you just keep... The one thing that I did when I split up with him, and I still to today do or don't do, is I don't watch news. I do not watch the news. It's
depressing watching news.
And I do not read newspapers unless I'm in it. And then I'll go, oh, that's me. But I do not, because everything, I think people don't understand, their brains are like sponges. And the more you watch, crappy TV shows that with drama, things that make you irritable, pay attention. I always say to people, pay attention on your feelings while you're watching something. And we all like to feel alive. I get that. Any kind of feelings, fear. But if all you're doing is watching horror, and if you're watching a lot of that, your mind, it changes your brain. And then you become fearful and agitable and irritable, and that's what you attract.
This has happened to me and Bill about a week and a half ago. We were sitting there and we were eating our dinner and the news was on. And I was sat there and one negative thing came on. And then after about 5 negative things, I just turned around and goes, fuck, like, no wonder people are scared of nearly everything. There's not one good thing on this news here that you could take away going, fuck, the world's good. It was just, everything was negative. Whether someone dying here, it was people losing this.
But as case in point, this whole bloody toilet paper debacle, that was on the news the night before this all started.
Actually, I'm running out. Have you got any? I'm running out of toilet paper. I think I've got because I didn't stop by.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. People seen on the news the day before it all kicked off that, oh yeah, there is fears that they could run out. The next day, people are running to the bloody supermarkets because they see this, and it's that mentality that gets into your head that, oh, I need to get that before next door neighbour buys it all, so I need to get out before they have it, I won't have it. It's just a mentality, as you said.
Actually, you know what I did when I was going through my depression? I would put on comedy every single night before I go to bed. I forced myself. I'd lay in bed and watch YouTube comedy. I watched all of Mickey Flanagan. I watched all
he's
of
brilliant. Yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah, I forced myself to watch it because you have to. When you're depressed or sad, I mean, what you really want to do is just get more depressed. But the solution is to force yourself to snap out of it, and you can do that. Tony Robbins actually taught me a very, very good strategy. He said the first thing to alter your state, because nothing good comes out of a shitty state, does it? Nothing. No solutions, no help to anybody else, nothing. So the first thing you need to do is alter your state. If you're feeling depressed, you want to feel good. And the easiest way to do that is change your physiology, change the way you stand. Put a smile on your face. Last thing you want to do, I swear to God, it helps. When I was going through my depression, I was still a puppeteer. I still do puppet shows, actually. And I'd have to go to birthday parties where you can guarantee there was never a divorced family. They were all happy families, right? I was going through the worst experience of my life, and then I'd have to rock up happy families and be a puppeteer, so I had to be happy. The only way that I could do that, I'd cry all the way there, get out my car, stand up straight, snap myself, put on a big cheesy smile. It felt fake as all shit. But you know what? I could do that for an hour. And the funny thing was, I'd come out and I'd feel great.
Fake it until you make it.
Yeah. So, that's the first thing is change, physiology. And then you get better ideas, better solutions and things like that. But
really
so positive,
it definitely works, yeah.
We have to going over a lot of. I didn't really realise we were going to be getting into much details.
But no, it's really insightful.
Awesome.
I love it.
Yeah. But is there anything else before we?
What's on the pipelines for the future for you?
Well, I have got a kids' book coming out. I'm hoping that. Now with the coronavirus, everything's going to kind of be a bit delayed. But it's not all negative. I will say this: more people, as you know from the book, more people have become rich in recessions than out. So now's the time you want to look at shares.
Yeah. Before you came, I've just lectured these guys for about 20 minutes on the exact same thing. So
now's a good time to make some money. So hopefully I've written a kids' book called "There's a Snake on My Birthday Cake," and I've got this wonderful illustrator. I actually handpicked her, Anne-Marie Finn, and I'm in the book.
Oh, sweet.
I'm actually in the kids' book, which is really cool. So I turn up to a birthday party with all my snakes and that. So I've got that. I have written a new TV series, and I can't, obviously, as I said, I can't go in the details, but it is going to be huge. It's going to be awesome. What else is going on? So I'm focusing. I want to do a certificate free in media. So my vision for the future is I've got the platform. Snake Boss was very, very successful. It's still airing. It aired in 160 countries around the world. It had the highest ratings ever on record for Animal Planet Australia. They put out the media. That's not me saying it. They said that. And it's done extremely well. And the big thing that came out of that show was how many parents have told me, thank you for being a role model. Thank you for being a woman and a role model, which, it should just be normal, really. But, my dream and my vision is to be able to produce further shows, write and show. I would love to be like Michael Moore, maybe not quite as controversial. I like to do more positive shows, but I want to go around and show stories that inspire the world and make people feel good. Feel good stuff. That's my legacy that I want to do, and show stories that need to be told.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that.
That's awesome. Well, before we wrap it up, where can people find you? What's your social media?
Oh God, I've got so many pages now. Snake Boss Reptile Shows, Snake Sheila, Julia Baker.
If someone wants to find you, they'll find you.
They'll find me.
Do you, just before we wrap up, do you still do call-outs and stuff like that?
Actually, I sold the business last year, but that doesn't mean I'm not a snake catcher anymore. I still am. it would be great to get another show up and running with the snake catching. But I did sell the 1-300 catcher.
Because we do a bit of a monthly challenge.
Yeah.
And I was thinking maybe we could come out with you one day and, I don't know, watch it, or maybe even hold a snake or something. I don't know.
Well, you could certainly come out to my house. I've got snakes and lizards there, but I don't, because I haven't got the business name anymore, I don't get, it's not because I'm too busy, it's just I don't get the calls.
Yeah.
Davey's like, maybe we'll just leave it. Maybe.
Shut up, Molly.
You don't call us, we'll call you. No worries. Well, Julia, thanks very much.
Yeah,
and,
thanks.
Appreciate
That was lovely.
Appreciate
That's
it.
awesome.
Good on
Thanks,
you.
Julia. I really appreciate
Cheers.
it. Thanks
Thanks very
very much.
much.
You're welcome.